University ROTC Honor Guard to post colors. All right.
Forward, forward, left, right, left, right. Left, right. Forward, forward. Forward, forward. Center, face. Forward, forward. Reason. Order. Arm. Center. Face. Mark time. Mark. Forward. Mark.
And at this time, please join me in our pledges of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags. After me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much. Y'all may be seated. Actually, stay standing. I'm going to ask Mr. Jim McKenzie to come forward and give our invocation to bless the evening.
Lord, we praise you, we worship you, we honor you, and we love you. And as our pledge says, both the pledge allegiance to our country and to our state, one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we pray for your country because it was started by you. It was because you wanted this country to come about. We thank you for it. May we keep it one under God. Lord, I pray for all of our elected officials. I pray that you would protect them and lead them and guide them. I want to especially pray for the Congressman Sessions that Lord, I know about some of the travel that he goes about, but Lord, put a hedge of protection around him as he travels all over, everywhere in this district, Lord, and give him strength and peace to do that work. Lord, I ask you to protect his family and give them peace as he goes about the country's business and the district's business. Help us, Lord, to focus on what's important. Help us to focus on you. Help us to be, as we say, help us to focus not on political correctness, but on biblical correctness. If we do, I believe with all of my heart that things are going to work out perfect. We love you and trust you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen, Jim, and thank you. That is a man after my own heart, and I appreciate him and Linda both. Thank you again for coming this evening. There are several people that I need to recognize. But first, I want to especially thank time to thank our host, County Judge Colt Christian, his Emergency Management Coordinator Butch Davis and Sherry Pagoda, and also our friends at the Hearts Museum of Texas for in support of hosting us here as well. So couldn't do it without them. At this time, I would like to ask Walker County resident Tom Fordyce to take a stand, and I want to say a few words about Chairman Tom Fordyce. Yes, sir. Tom is a special advocate of our team. He serves as our chairman for our Military Service Academy Selection Committee, one of 4, and one is based right here, and Tom leads that committee. Each year, all of our selection committees throughout the district nominate over a dozen dynamic young men and women from our high schools to attend one of our nation's service academies to prepare them to later serve and protect our nation as commissioned officers. Tom Fordyce, a United States Marine combat veteran and service to this great state, serves our team with extreme honor and commitment. I couldn't do it without him. He's a brother, and we appreciate your continued service, Tom. Thank you. On that special note, if you are a veteran with us tonight, please stand. We want to recognize all of our veterans in the community with your applause. Thank you so much. This community is well versed and is in good habit of remembering its veterans, and I really do mean what I say when we attend veterans events here. Y'all saved me from having to do what's been already done, and that relieves some stress off me, so we can do other things to help this district. Thank you again for your service. At the end of Congressman's presentation, he will provide an opportunity for questions and answers. We ask that you please be considerate of others and keep your questions and comments specific and at a minimum, so we can allow opportunities for many, if not all, in the room. As we move closer to the presentation, I need to recognize some additional folks that are here with us. And certain leaders that aren't elected, but they're still leaders in our community that we rely on. Again, County Judge Colt Christian. I see Sheriff Clinton McRae slipped in on us, so we're glad that he could join us. County Commissioner Bill Doggett, Precinct 3, I've seen him. Let's see who else I saw. I did see Precinct 3, Jessica Peace, Randy Jeffcoat. I did see Precinct 2, County Constable Shane Luzier. I did see Chairwoman Linda McKenzie of the Republican Party of Walker County. Mayor of Huntsville, of course, Russell Humphrey. And I did see our friends at Sam Houston State, Chief Deputy to the President, McCartney Johnson, Chief Strategy Officer, Major General Dave Glazer, Vice President of Research and Special Projects, Dr. Chad Hargrave, and Executive Director of the Bill Blackwood Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, Dr. John Ray. And of course, I think I saw Jason Brandolini, the new President and CEO of the Huntsville Walker County Chamber of Commerce. So thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to ask Judge Colt Christian to come forward. He will be introducing Congressman Sessions.
So I got a whole script here, but I just asked if I could go off script. So we're gonna go off script a little bit. I'd like to introduce Congressman Pete Sessions, but make it personal to Walker County. We're all a little different. We all know Congressman came from Waco, he worked for AT&T, but we both came in and represented Walker County at the same time. I was totally new to politics. This is not what I thought I was going to be doing in life. I was a caterer. So he was one of the first persons that reached out to me after the election. We went and had lunch, and he talked about how he was going to help Walker County. And right off the bat, he became a good friend of ours and all of Walker County. Every time we need something, all we got to do is send a message, an email. He's there for us. So if y'all haven't met him yet, this is your first town hall. It seems like, I know they said this is the second one. He's here all the time. He is very open. He's at the reach of a phone call any day you need him, or an email. So we couldn't have asked for a better representation for Walker County and DC for us. I hope that's a good introduction to him, and hope that gives you a little insight of how he treats us as locals when we need something in Walker County. Anytime we have a meeting and we need his help, he's there via Zoom, or he has people from his staff there, and they are more than willing to help us and reach out in any which way they can to help us. So without anything else, I'm going to introduce Congressman Pete Sessions.
Your Honor, thank you very much. Your Honor, thank you very much. Will is here, also our district attorney. Did you mention that Will was here, Jeff? Did you mention that our favorite district attorney is here? Okay. Yeah.
And he's sitting on the front row.
Yeah. So, Will, it's so good to see you. Will rushed into town yesterday. He was in Austin. Jeff has me do that. Jeff, where'd you go to school?
Texas A&M.
Okay, Texas A&M. But Will was in Austin testifying about a very important thing, and it was a bill to take people who have been habitually arrested over time. We're talking 10, 12, 15 times to be able to put incarcerated for a longer period of time. Will, thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here today. I think everybody knows I'm Pete Sessions, and this is official business of the United States Congress. It is important that I have an opportunity to come and be before you, that I represent you in Washington, D.C., but it's also important that you have an opportunity to come and talk to me. I think it's important also to understand that I'm delighted to be in Huntsville, Texas today, and proud to say, unfortunately, Mayor, I left here to go to La Texo so I could say I came back, so I was here twice today. I spoke at the luncheon at the Rotary Club at lunch, and then had so much fun, I came back here. So we won't count that as a double trip, but we could, but we're not going to. Thank you for taking time to be here. Before we go too far, I want to introduce our staff. There may be some people here that you deal with, probably on the phone. They wake up in a suburb of Huntsville. They wake up in Waco mostly. But I'd like Eleanor Allison, because she's the furthest back. Come on, Eleanor. This is Miss Baylor University. She has been with us now in Washington for a year. She's going to tell you where you're from.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. And then we have Jordan. Jordan, tell them where you're from. Mr. Baylor University.
Hello, everybody. I'm from Chicago.
Well, he's supposed to say Waco, Texas for the last 4 years. That somehow sneaked us by. All right, come on, Stanton. This is Stanton Bain.
I'm from Waco. I'm actually very, very from Waco.
He went to high school in Waco. Stanton handles a lot of things. So, Jordan, tell them what you handle.
I do a lot of casework for constituents like yourselves. If anyone has a problem getting a passport, that kind of deal, or if you have emergency travel that you weren't expecting, so your passport's out of date, I can kind of help expedite that and help people get their the passports when they need them, so that they can go.
And then he's our guy that does all of our technology that comes there. Stanton is the guy that spends all day on the phone, and primarily he'll tell you most of the time he spends off the IRS. That's called the Internal Revenue Service.
that along with the Social Security, Medicare, pretty much every other federal agency that is not what Jordan handles or what our VA caseworker handles.
And then one of his favorites that he loves, when I walk in the office, he yells and screams at me about the post office. So he handles that also. We have a gal, is Melinda Carty still here? Did she walk in? Linda, come on down here. This is the Jeff Mursky of East Texas. And this is Melinda Carty. And Melinda Carty has 17 years with the U.S. House of Representatives. She worked for Congressman Louis Gohmert. And then when Congressman Gohmert retired, I called her up and said, hey, and she said, yes, I will.
I was persistent, I made him hire me.
But tell them where you live.
I'm from Angelina County. I live in Luskin. Actually, I live in Hudson. I'm from a little suburb called Hudson. And I cover 4 counties, Angelina, Nacogdoches, Houston, and Trinity counties. We have 2 offices in Deep East Texas. We have a Luskin and a Nacogdoches office. And I split my time between those 2 offices, and always available to help out any way I can. My door's always open. I help with the congressman's schedule. I work closely with our district director. Glad to be here tonight in East Texas.
Good, thank you. And then we have a guy named Jeff Mursky, graduate from Willis High. Class 89. And then he graduated, what was the name of that school?
Texas A&M.
Oh, Texas A&M, class of 95. And then we've got our district director, Vicki Mercer. And Vicki Mercer wakes up in Waco, Texas every day too. Those of you who will remember, Mr. Burnett, Kevin Burnett was our district director. He passed away 1 year ago at the end of this month. He was my best friend from 1976. So he is missed a lot. Vicki brings a lot of enthusiasm and youth to this. Vicki, defend yourself.
So, yes, I succeeded Kevin Burnett, who did a great job of setting the groundwork. So I was an easy walk-in to have the pleasure of managing everybody except for Eleanor, who's up in Washington.
And she doesn't like anybody managing her.
But I'm fortunate to have an amazing team. They really do good work. It's all about constituent services and trying to make sure he's ready to get on the move as soon as he gets here, so he can be face to face with as many people as he can when he can, and the officials. So.
Okay, before they go too far, I'm gonna have Stan and Eleanor do something. We left here today. I was here for lunch. We left here and went to Latexo, Texas. And Latexo, Texas is just north of Crockett, about 6 miles, maybe 5. We're south of Greatland, but closer to Crockett. If you're driving, it's about 6 miles. If you're driving, it's 4. If you're walking, it's 6 miles. But I wanted to show you what they presented me today, because we made a presentation to Aubrey Cravens. Aubrey Cravens is a teacher, mathematics teacher extraordinaire. She has won, Latexo has won the UIL State Math and Computer Championship 12 straight years. That's beating everybody. They used to beat Spring Branch, then they beat Westlake, now they beat Highland Park, Texas. So they compete all the way up and down. But we presented them 4 Dell what we call Dell Bad Boys. They're about that big, supercomputers. Susan and Michael Dell gave them these computers, not much for Dell, but a lot for this school system. I gave them the second of $3,000 checks to encourage them to go and get this darn thing done. Did you bring my buddy with me?
Yes, sir.
Where's my buddy?
He's not quite here yet.
Okay. My buddy, she's gonna bring him in. It's kind of a joke, but we put Buzz Lightyear and I go everywhere together. And Buzz is gonna show up here in a few minutes. But we talk with them about their life as Americans in Texas and from here to infinity and beyond. and where Texas is gonna head, you're gonna see it. But they gave this to me. We're gonna hang this up at Dell Computer in Pflugerville, Texas, in this congressional district, and let them fly that flag for a little bit as I thank you to people who work in math and science. Sam Houston State University, you seen this, Chad? This is math and science, math counts. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to attempt, as I always do at these town hall meetings, I ask people to give me 15 minutes or so where I'm going to try and talk about the things that I think, keep going, that I see that are important. This first slide is, and they're right out on the front table, our staff. I encourage you to take it with you. It's our staff. It's a double-sided thing. It shows Washington, D.C. It shows Waco, Texas. It shows Jeff Gursky. It shows our guy down in Round Rock. Yeah, there's Buzz Lightyear. Come put Buzz about somewhere over here, Vicki. So Vicki knows that I talk about, if I don't talk about Buzz Lightyear, I owe her $1. And I've only lost $1 in a year. Because I am for our young people having a dream in life of where they're going to go, what they're going to do. We cannot maintain the greatest country in the world if we have a bunch of deadheads, people that just sit at home, sit on their couch, and look at their look at their iPhone all day. We've got to get people up. We've got to get people who are engaged. And I see too many young people that are lost. So, thus, Vicki challenges me to do what I want to do. So, there's our schedule. I'll give you a hint. Every time it's red, I'm in Washington. They changed the schedule this year. President Trump asked that we change the schedule, that we be there a little bit more. So we've given up Fridays that we're up there. Used to come home on Friday night at midnight. And I now don't get to go to church and Sunday school because it takes me 9 hours to get there. So I cannot leave on a Monday out of Waco and get there in time to vote. So I leave on Sunday, go back one more time. 16 extra Mondays. So my life has changed. So when I talked to Linda McKenzie, she said, well, I'll just expect you to be just like you have been. I said, no, ma'am, it doesn't work that way anymore. But we're trying our best, Linda, but we're trying to make sure that people know, you know our schedule. If it's not red, I'm back here. If it is red, I represent you. I will be up there. All right? This is the 17th District of Texas. By the way, we took a vote earlier. We decided this looked better. It's easier. If this is not good to someone, if you cannot see better, please tell us because we think we turned out the lights because it is. This is the 17th District of Texas. It's 14 counties. It starts in Waco, goes down to, if you've been on I-35 at 79, or just south of there, that great big 5-deck area is, goes into Travis County. You're like in the heart of the district there. Everything east of I-35, Round Rock to Kalahari, everything mostly south of 79, and that $40 billion wafer factory from Samsung is out in the black dirt that's due east of there. We're going to have about 200,000 new people that move. You could call it Taylor, Texas. You could call it Copeland, Texas. You could call it Milam County. But 200,000 people. What is it about that other than that? They have what's called the Carrizo. There was a young man that came from Lexington, where I used to represent, did our flag ceremony here. They have more water underneath the ground in the Carrizo, which essentially is Lee and Milam County. There's something called groundwater and surface water. Surface water is the lake, groundwater is this stuff. They got more groundwater than all the surface water in Texas. Underneath down there. So that's why people are headed down there. And that's what Samsung knew. And so that's what they're doing. All right, keep going. I've been busy. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I became what's called the co-chairman of Doge. I have my entire career been interested in government efficiency. I got this as a mistake out of AT&T. I rose to a very early in life to having an organization of 750 people. And if you think you can sustain your job by being inefficient, you're wrong. Well, I think the same thing in the federal government. So I am our co-chairman of what's called DOGE, which is Department of Government Efficiency. We're trying to match up. They have a job, they're Article 2. Their job is to have the data, the facts of the case, and all the things in the administration. Ours is to make sure that we correspondingly move the law, that we appropriate money. And that's part of the good side and downside to all this. And that is, we're moving so fast right now. We're discovering so many things that we're trying to put together, even though it's only probably April 16th. We're trying to put together our things for June when these committee hearings start. We've got to make a decision. So, as you know, earlier in the year, we came to a complete agreement. We're going to spend everything the way it's supposed to be this year. We didn't move a penny around. Now, there are some things that have changed in that, but by and large, nothing that's grounded in law. So we're going to find out what we find, what the administration wants, and then what the votes will yield. We're going to put it together. Okay, I am also the chairman. See, I'm showing you how big that fish. I was fishing down in Huntsville, Texas. See how big that fish was? And I also am the chairman of the subcommittee. I have government operations. Any federal government operation in the world, I do not have the policy over, I have the oversight over. So that's where, I get into the post office and a lot of other things. Jurisdiction. By and large, what our jurisdiction is to discover about what you will see in a minute, this leaky bucket. Money going down the tube. You'll see more in a second. All right. What accelerated our deficit? What brought us to the point where we are today? Too much spending. Spending money. Oh, sure, COVID. Yes, but COVID was over 3 years in Texas before the federal government caught on. We have to understand spending too much money puts us in trouble. You'll see about that in a minute. Keep going, Jordan. Here's that leaky bucket. So, fixing the loopholes and finding the leaky bucket is part of my job, not just as a congressman, but my job in DOGE. We are specifically asking the question about what the reality is of what's right or wrong. I held a town hall meeting up in Trinity County a month and a half ago and got asked a question. Congressman Sessions, you said that it wouldn't surprise you if you cut spending Social Security. I said, yes, that's right. Well, not everyone. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anybody that's legally getting Social Security. It means those that are getting Social Security that don't qualify. It means giving Social Security to people who it's wrong. They've done something wasteful or fraud. So we are going to cut this. But I'm not afraid to look at it and ask questions about what is our role and what is our responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be less than what you would expect if I couldn't say, that's okay. It's not okay. And people who want to challenge us, I challenge them back because we do this on a bipartisan basis. I have established with my dear friend, a man who is head of the NCAA for America, Mr. Mfume, who sits right beside me, And we're looking at what we know is billions of dollars in wasteful spending. And every time we need to look at that, we need to stop it. Every time that's wrong, and it's because he knows that when it goes to someone else, either fraudulently or wasted, that it couldn't go to the people who needed it the most. And so I will tell you that you will watch TV and hear, oh, this is all partisan. It is not all partisan. It is necessary that someone like our president has, and I'll just say, he has the guts to take this on. Normally, we kick the can. Not doing that anymore. And you do not have a congressman that will shirk his national responsibility. And so I think I can come here and praise anybody, but I will look at our friends that are in here, Republican or Democrat, and say to them, as far as it goes on spending, we've got to make sure we know what we're spending on and who's doing it. So, we're too early for my report. I had hoped that I would be ready by June 1. I don't know if we're going to make it by June 1, but that's when the hearings are going to start. So, everybody, and if you've been with me up to now, you've got a letter talking about education. If you showed up in Houston County, you got a letter on education. I told you, this is the way education is going to work. You'll get another one. McCartney, where'd you go? McCartney, you're going to get your third letter on education by being here today. We've got some other ones, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We've got these, but I think education was that flash point where people needed to understand that what's happened in Washington, D.C., yes, the prior administration, we disagreed with. We disagreed with orders of allowing and letting transgender men compete against women. We had enough of $181 billion worth of student loans being given away. We have a problem with some of these things. You may not agree with everything, but we'll lay it out. We're going to fix it. Okay. Who am I working with? Well, I'm working with my good friend. Here, somebody got a picture of us. We play baseball together, and we're down in the Republican dugout. That is my good friend, who is the senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst. She's taking this stuff on the Senate side. We're taking it on the House side. I think we're working well. The initiative is to cut $2 trillion by July 4th in a year. Is it possible? I think it is. Are we going to cut the $2 trillion? We're going to do our best because we know we're working on $500 billion of misdirected payments. But there are other things. And I'll just be quite blunt. I voted for 27 years to get the United States out of the UN. You may not want to do that. You may not have all the stuff to go do that, but I don't think we need to be in the UN. The UN authorizes the Iranians to run almost every committee, and the Chinese to do things, and they don't follow rule of law, and there are people that do not respect other countries. So that's an example. That's only about $100 billion a year, but I believe that we've got to do this. Fixing misdirected payments. I will tell you, it's on TV, no matter which station you watch, waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, I don't really want to say that. I can, because that happens too. But payments that are just misdirected. Payments that might have started off the right reason, but somebody died, nobody got with anybody and told them, we are going to go and do an audit. We're going to go and challenge people. Hey, tell us who you are and what you're doing. We've got the checks, they're signed by people, and we've got to stop that. Misdirected payments are something that is about $500 billion a year. It adds up. you watch what we do. We're going to get our job done. Where do misdirected payments happen? Well, they're all over the government. This restaurant revitalization fund was people because of COVID. And so we're trying to make sure, as you go around this viewpoint of looking at it, it's everywhere. It is also mismanagement in the military. I find people who talk to me all the time about, $11,000 hammers. That's right, there are. When the federal government, when the military has specialty orders and they don't order enough, and somebody says, you ought to order a little bit more, because if we go back into a line and have to do these specialty tools, it gets very expensive. It's everybody being smarter. And that's kind of a misdirected payment. Okay, understanding issues with the federal workforce. There's that guy, and that was May the 26th. That was a year ago, May 22nd, a year ago. Run that just for a minute and a half, and let's see what I say.
It's also President Biden who finds himself at the vice grip of employees who decide that they don't like his policies related to Gaza. This causing an uproar with this administration across agencies. I think it is OPM's responsibility to ensure that there's confidence and transparency around the disciplinary system. Discipline is important in any organization. It was for my 16 years at AT&T, where employees were not running the business. The federal managers and the people who were the management were running that organization, were responsible to not just the results, but also to the shareholders. Well, I think that the taxpayer.
So here's the bottom line. There's a lot of people that believe any federal employee ought to be able to have any opinion about anything they want to go to. And to then come and protest President Biden, I believe, was pretty straightforward. He believed that Israel, the protection of Israel, was what he had chosen to support, and literally about 18% of the workforce that were federal government employees in Washington, D.C. protested him. Raised Cain, didn't even go to work. They raised Cain all over the place, and that was a year ago. I think it's important that the President of the United States have the confidence of people who work for him. So this leads us to that conversation, and that is, what did President Trump do? President Trump, at my behest, I'm not the only one, but I said, Mr. President, I'm in charge of government operations. Our federal government, less than 20% of them, non-military, non-law enforcement, do not go to work more than once a week. So he said, okay. And he made an offer. If you do not want to come back to work, I'll pay you 10 months, you stay at home, just tell me now. And immediately the unions took that on. It's finally been resolved. Those workers are able to do that. If they don't want to come to work, they can take early retirement and stay on until September. I think it's important that we try and make things work, that we try and make things fair. I came from the private sector. If you're going to be moving somebody's job, if they were there 20 years, whatever it might be, give them a buyout. We are going to end up reducing the federal workforce by about 250,000 employees. It is, amen, but it's also a daunting task that this government has to make sure they've got enough people to run the government. The post office just hired 200,000 full-time employees rather than making them part-time. The IRS, as you know, a year ago hired 87,000 new employees. They didn't get them all on. We are paying the price of an inefficient government. So I just want you to know this is another area where I believe there's plenty of room for us to understand what we're doing. Government employees will be offered a chance to retire, and then they will then reshuffle the deck and see how things are going to work. Now, there are people who are here today that have questions, and I looked at a young woman from Food Bank who's here tonight. And she was very polite to me and asked an honest question. Tell me about food bank dollars. We don't really know all the answers. And it's not like we should know them yet. We've not held hearings. We've not had a proposal. But there are things that are happening all across this country, Social Security, IRS, all these agencies, and we're trying to work through these issues. I would urge you to know that I think that employees can be treated fairly if they choose to stay on. I don't think that they will arbitrarily, necessarily find themselves out of a job, but there are going to be changes. And I think that the amount of changes that happened with President Clinton, we may have a slide up here. I think the number of employees that they moved will end up being about twice what Trump did. But there still is change going on. I know we'll hear from you, and I'm open to that. Okay, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make us more efficient. So these are two of the things that I have discovered. The Red Tape Act was a bill that I sponsored. We passed it on the floor. The top part, Federal Accountability, the FACT Act. And what this is doing is looking at an organization that was formed by the Biden administration after they lost $400 billion. They came back and said, whoa, hold it, we got a problem. And they put together a pandemic organization. So that's what that PAC stands for, pandemic, whatever, trying to look at it. So they've got an organization with a database of 1,800,000,000 names, emails, addresses, cell phone numbers. That is a negative file. Negative file. If you've been involved in business over the last couple of years, you probably know that term. This is people who we have reason to suspect that something went wrong. Social Security doesn't run anything to it. They just spend out the money. VA benefits, they just send out the money. Student loans, all the government agencies, because you cannot see their data. We are now going to run that through that database, a negative database first, and find out, because we've got to stop these $500 billion. So we have an answer that we're trying to get at a process. Long run, I'll look right at you. This is not a public announcement. I think a lot of people have figured this out. The frail part of the system is Social Security numbers. Social Security numbers, we know that we have some $80 billion that comes in off Social Security where people are claiming to be somebody they aren't. You know that, and I do too, because there are people working, they borrow somebody's Social Security number, but that doesn't make it right. But also when you get
Money coming in.
Yeah, illegals who are working, employers are paying for them because they don't want to be held criminally liable. Oh yeah, they're paying. Doesn't mean everybody, but it does happen. So our biggest problem is there's a country called China that now has, through quantum physics, they've got this brand new computer system that can break any algorithmic code. Would you please tell me when I get this wrong, Chad, since you're the technical? I was just Bell Labs, you're the professor. We've got to design the next something and have people have that as an identifier. That's what I've really got to get done. I've got about 15 months, and my job is, how are we going to identify people? How are we going to roll it out in the country? How are we going to know who people are without cutting people off, without losing our data? But otherwise, the Chinese will steal everything we've got. And that's the basis of what this country works off of. So, big deal. I want you to stay tuned. I don't know what the answer is. If I knew it, I'd tell you. But I'll tell you one thing I do know. I got Buzz on my side. And we are going to use the same axiom that Buzz gave us, and that is from here to infinity and beyond. America has the best answers, and we're going to work at it. All right, 2 more minutes. This is Lee Zeldin. You've probably already seen this. He found $40 billion worth of payments that went to green energy people, just like Solyndra. A whole bunch of companies took the money, didn't do anything with it. I've talked too long. We've got Lee. If anybody wants this slide deck, we'll give it to them. But Lee Zeldin found $40 billion. Here's one of the problems. It's already been spent. 10, 10, 10, 10. But that's where the president's going to say, we now know who's been getting this money. And this, they say, is a drop in the bucket. I think it's a bucket that has a leaky bottom, and we're going to fix it. What's next? Legislation passed. This is what we're trying to do, spending a lot of times worrying about the border, fentanyl that's coming in, and how we're going to look at it. I've got a very interesting tape that if anybody wants it, you ought to hear it, and it is about what's called Delta 9. Delta 9 is a process by which they took hemp, which is supposed to be legal because it's supposed to be for ropes, and the drug cartels through chemistry turned it into a THC component. It was perfectly legal, Will. Can't do anything about it. Texas is doing something about it. It's addiction for our children. Elton John, a singer, said, and he's quoted quite widely, the worst thing America ever did was legalizing marijuana. It is addictive, and it is killing our children's viewpoint of the world. All right, what else we have left? Inflation, we can talk about, keep going. Okay, here's what I want you to see. I want you to see these last couple slides because I think they're very interesting. The Texas population, when I grew up, 6 million. We're now 33. He's going to show you a staggering number that we're headed to. Here, well, go back. There you go. Hold on, right? Go to the map. This is what is happening. There's this triangle that's talked about. And of course, I fly it every week as I fly from DFW to Waco or I drive I-35. This triangle is, I'm going to show you the number in a minute. Right here before our eyes is changing everything. Even in Limestone County, Texas, per acre, big blocks go from $4,000 to $14,000 an acre. Look at these split overnight. And it means that it has changed us and who we are. But that was the guess of where we were going to be. Plus 60, I can't read that, 60% here, plus 100% down there. They're going to double in size. Keep going. So I'm now the dean of the town. Where's this slide about 95 million people? Oh, okay. So we're going to go to 95 million people by the year 3000. Incredible. My granddaughter will be involved. I'll be gone. My granddaughter will be here. Are we doing the things today to get us in line to be ready for that? Are we making decisions today? Are our young mayors doing the right things? Are our district attorneys prepared? Is our schools prepared? Are we as a people prepared to understand that if we spend all this money or don't fix it, we're in trouble? I take my job seriously, and you want me to, and you expect me to. And we're going to make tough decisions, and we're going to get it done now. And I deeply believe in everything I've told you. All right, what's next? I'm the dean of the Republican Texas delegation now. There are 25 of us. I've been around the longest. I went in with Kevin Brady. I went in with Kay Granger. Kevin retired. Kay has now retired, so they're stuck with me. We got to do energy independence. I want to do well enough today where you want to come back. One of the most important things you need to understand is about energy. And that is we have these solar panels that are taking 30 and 40,000 acres of prime agricultural land, and they're putting these solar panels on there. And I'm willing to talk with you about it. Not against them all, I'm just against what the process is and how it happens. Batteries are our future. Solar batteries, people that have them on their home, at their home, and at night use them. There is a statistic that plainly says we need 2 times the energy that we're going to have in 5 years. And that is because we've got these great big plants. Samsung, going to come online in 2 years. Got these data centers, AI, these things run all day. Do they make our life better? Is there an ROI that pays for it? Yes. Got to have the battery power, and there's a plan, but I need to tell you that story. We'll do that next time. If Linda tells us we can come back. Okay. Threats to national security, they abound. Every day I'm drawn into something that has to do with this. I'm not going to go through it, but I'll tell you. The moon, you see the moon at night? You see the same side every time. We don't really know, I know this is not exactly true. The Chinese are on the other side, and we aren't. They can shoot down things. They can control space. Think of all the things that we're putting up in space, how we talk to each other. They are not just in our midst or in the Gulf. They are around us. The enormous need that we have to understand national security begins right here too. The planetariums out here, what do we call that? It's observatory, planetarium. Dominic. Went out there. Their eyes are on the skies. We better pay attention. Keep going. Been to the border. This guy right here, our great young governor, showed up and said, did we get the facts of the case? Here's what they are. They made between January 23rd, oh, that's ICE. I'm talking about Texas. They stopped 530,000 illegal aliens, 50,000 criminal arrests already that had been criminals. And they stopped, I don't know where the number is, 17 pounds of fentanyl. They picked up that would have gone right through unless they had not stopped it. It's incredible. We're asking the federal government to pay some $11 billion to pay back Texas. Now you'd say, well, Pete, you're one of the votes. Just go get the damn thing done. Not always so easy. But that looms ahead that we've got to get to also. Thank you for paying to protect not just Texas, but the rest of the country. We were on our own. We fought the fight, and I'm proud of what we did. Keep going, Julie. Dangerous criminals. We've got to remove them. I don't think there's an argument about that. Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's the big, beautiful bill that's talked about. Well, it's not done yet. We've got a lot of work. We've got a lot of things, and the tariffs play into this also. I'll be glad to if Linda invites me back to go through that also. It is a lot of mathematics. It's a lot of if this happens, this happens, if this happens, this happens. Here's what's not in dispute. What's not in dispute is that our friends, and they are our friends on the other side, talk about raising taxes and talk about doing all this. They, for 4 years, did not change any of the tax code. And there's a reason why. The tax code encourages American jobs, American people, and it encourages us to continue as a nation to be strong economically. Fueled the stock market, and I think there's a lot to be said for a review in a time when there's so much flux. I look forward to giving you that view too. All right. What are we doing now? Okay, here's that education letter. No, wrong one. You'll get my letter that comes by, if you get your picture with the old man today, we'll send it to you. I hope you read it, interested in feedback. What else? Okay, keep going. Look, there's Buzz up there. What do y'all want to talk about? I'm open to this. Vicki, tell them what the rules are. This is Vicki. She's going to let anybody ask a question that wants to.
If we could though, before we start the Q&A, we were, the ROTC graciously filled in for us last minute, and they have other obligations. So I'm going to ask them at this time to go ahead and retire the colors.
Okay, we'll stand up for a second. Thank you very much. I'm the one that took too much time, like Chad Bryant, Brian, and me.
Mary, go. Forward. Mark. Left, right, left, right. Marker. Forward. Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Houston, ROTC. Thank you. Okay, Ben. Yeah.
If y'all have some questions, I'll be happy to come put the mic for you, and I'm going to spot y'all kind of as we go. We'll get to you, I promise.
Thank you. Congressman Sessions, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Tor, thank you very much. I met Tor my first trip to Huntsville, and he defended me against a bunch of people who did not like it that I'm a 27-year member of the Texas Farm Bureau. And they told me that I was a no good. It was a political thing. It's fair. I'm fair game. And he told them, I think you boys aren't from this county, are you? And they said, no, they aren't. Tor, thank you. You've been a dear friend.
Thank you. I'm so pleased you represent us.
Yes, sir.
So my question is, we have a vast, huge IRS bureaucracy, which we could get rid of if we can get President Trump's idea of using tariffs to fund our federal government instead of the income tax. What is the chance that that might happen?
Tor, thank you very much. Right now, there is a continuing dispute, and by the way, did I say I'm glad to be gone for 2 weeks for Easter? There is a continuing dialogue, Tor, and the audience, between those in the administration who are for one side of the equation and some for the other side of the equation. The president strongly believes that we should not tax Social Security, overtime pay, and tips. This adds up to be MONEY, and math counts. And it is a good bit of money. The president has indicated at the time he was doing this that they would be paid for by other countries who paid, we put a tariff on their items to come in. I think what is happening before our eyes is that other countries, and he's already announced, $400 billion worth of, which is in the scheme of things is a lot, but not huge. Companies that are moving here and will move their things here, and so they would then not have a tariff on them. One of them is coming to Waco, a company, what's Vicky? Electrolit. And if you go to 7-Eleven, if you go to one of these stores, it looks like Gatorade, but it's healthy. Gatorade has sugar in it. This does not have sugar. They're in Mexico. They've been bringing things up here. And they are moving, they're buying 400,000, they've already built a building 400,000 square feet in Waco, and they are moving to here. So the president is now in this quagmire. These companies move here, the tariffs go away. They're made here. So it's kind of like, are you for jobs here or are you for, I don't know. And you've seen the back and forth that's gone on with the president. And so we're going to find out. We now have a 10% tariff on a blanket that goes across. But I think most countries and big businesses are saying we're going to just move there. So there wouldn't be the tariff money to pay for these things.
How many in here want to see the IRS abolished?
Okay, now that's the subject. That's the subject. So, the IRS has a legal authority to stamp and do things as people move and sell businesses. It's part of our legal system. You have to pay your taxes. You have to get the IRS to say you pay your taxes. If you buy a house, you got this Social Security number. People won't let you do things unless you're clear. You're right. So that's why people like me want to go to what's called a flat tax. And the flat tax, the essence of it is don't tax savings or investment. Once I earned it and I put the money in, don't tax my money. Let me keep it. We still have to have somebody that will say you paid your taxes. You can get a student loan or the things that you do, and they are so worthless today. I fight with the IRS every day. It's a complex system. We've given them this guy, Stanton Bain. I could tell you he gave to the IRS what in essence was 100 different cases of people, a woman who openly, fraudulently did all these 1040s, And they won't even tell me the conclusion where it is. It's a private information. And I'll just tell you, this isn't very nice. I told them bullshit. I'm the chairman of government operations. They're gonna have a brand new commissioner of the IRS, and that commissioner is a personal friend of mine, Billy, and he's gonna come and they're gonna tell us, we've gotta get away from this. That's our business, not yours. So, sorry to talk that way, Tor, but it was a bunch of bullshit. They need to tell us and be honest with people in the government that fund them what they're doing. But I'm just saying, it's a mixed bag. If we don't know who's stealing from us, if the U.S. attorneys can't prosecute it and it end up somewhere who keeps all this, we'll keep giving money away to criminals. So, hard thing. Stay with me. I don't know where we're gonna end up, but I know we gotta end up. Sir?
Okay, market instability is a factor for many of us.
Yeah.
This is not my question. Somebody in Austin said, you ask it, and so I'm gonna ask it. You were quoted by saying that, well, I'll just read it. Pete Sessions, a Republican congressman from Texas, said Trump's tariffs have, quote, ignited many capitalists, end quote. And you went on to say all Texans believe that a tariff is a tax, and it's not in America's best interest, nor people in the free world to pay that extra money. Well, my question was asked is, are you supportive in any form or fashion of the tariffs? Obviously, Senator Cruz is not, and made it very clear that he's not. Rand Paul has certainly made his statements. So where do you think the majority of the Republican members of the House are with the tariff situation?
The tariff, and thank you, sir. That's a fair question. And let's say I did say it, because I did. It was part of a larger context, but I could say the same thing again. A tariff is a tax. The president began by saying he wanted the tariffs to pay for things that would help the United States to do other things, Social Security, and what I'm talking about. But that's not what the president is now. The president is putting a demand on other countries that they drop their tariffs. So this is a moving thing. All right, where am I? It's caused disruption across the world. And that disruption is leading to what I think is a general understanding that they don't want tariffs and we don't want tariffs, and that's where President Trump's landing. I don't think he's landing on tariffs, and I think that he's now seeing where the stability needs to be done. So, look, I'm a 29-year member of the Texas Farm Bureau. We send $17 billion worth of food overseas that we need to sell. Our operations, what's in the best interest of our guys is to, because they're mostly small operations. Iowa is commercial. Texas is not a commercial operation by and large. We have small cow-calf operators. We have other people. We're a smaller, we're less corporate. What's in our best interest is to be able to take our cattle and sell them overseas on the market. When you put a tariff on it, it's a tax that makes us non-competitive. We want to compete on price and quality. And so Ted Cruz is probably no different than I. Look, let's face it, we want Dell Computer to sell their things overseas and compete on price and quality. But the Chinese put together as many computers as we do, and they subsidize them, and they'll give them to other people with no tariff. China won't have a tariff on the rest of the world. And all of a sudden Dell Computer that's been selling on market-based prices overseas, they're out of luck. So for everything that's a really positive thing, there is a backside to it. And that is if Dell Computer lost half their sales overseas, just half, they lose half the people that are Americans working there. This is that fine line. So where do I come out? Right now, we're still about $10 trillion in the hole. Trillion. Based upon where we are. The market's down. Y'all know I have a Down syndrome son. And he every day gives me the stock market. It's either angry or the stock market is good. And he said, Dad, market didn't do well today. That's what he hears. We're still down again today. Do I have the ability to hang with Donald Trump without hanging him out to dry and saying, we're going to bring this up in Congress and we're going to vote on it, we're going to take that authority away from you? No. Am I still of a belief that the president has gotten more than enough data and information and he's going to make a decision? Yes. Can I hang with that? Yes, I can. And I am not calling for us to do these hearings. I'm not calling on us nor getting on the legislation. Do I think that that's being respectful to a guy who I prayed for? I wanted? Yes. But can I be objective? Well, the problem is, just because I'm from Texas, do I have to go out and spout my opinion everywhere? No. But you better know, brother, if we start laying off, if half these cattle guys lose their markets and Dell Computer loses because China will undercut now. They can just undercut everything they had built up. It causes me to at least be realistic and talk, work and because 100 people ask me this every day. So I'm just trying to say we're in the middle of it. It's got a good side and it's got a reverse ugly side. And I think the president's going to see both sides. I actually will be with him on Monday afternoon. I've been asked, I'm a faithful, loyal guy. I've been asked to come read at the White House Ag Roll. I'm going to miss church on Sunday, Sunday school. I'm going to read to a bunch of kids. And the president asked me to come do it. I'm still his friend. I'm still going to hang with him. But I will tell you, you asked me where I think the president has his authority. He has that responsibility. He needs to keep that, and he needs to understand where we're going. We need to get to more quickly than not. There is a company called Atkinson Sugar, Atkinson Candy Company in Lufkin, Texas. They make these, I wish I'd brought them. They make these logs, the logs, and others. They cannot compete in this country for sugar cane because Mars whips them and Hershey's beats them. I mean, they're bigger companies. They're small companies. But I have responsibility for that too. Eric is a friend of mine, but he's got all these people that work for him. They cannot get enough sugar, so the president doesn't like it if he gets sugar from Costa Rica. And they want to tax the stuffings out of it. And Eric says, if they do that, I'm out of business. Nobody will pay. Kind of like the post office. Ain't nobody going to pay $1 to send a letter. There is a price point at which Pete Sessions says it's darn expensive living. Our expenses are too high. And I actually want to see us reduce prices. I want to see us pay down the debt. And I want to see us be happy and employ people. But let me tell you what, competition in this world is pretty hard. As soon as you're for one way, you're gonna find out someone else gonna come the other way. So, fair question. And it would be from a true Trumper, oh, we can't trust Pete Sessions. Yes, you can, because I'm gonna let the president decide what he interests. But I would be silly if I live in Waco, Texas, where the Texas Farm Bureau's headquarters, and I see those guys at church, and when I walk around the block, and when there was Luby's, I'd see them at Luby's. You get my point. It's a serious thing, and Dell is serious right in this district. And by the way, your graduates want to be hired by these companies. So we just have to be careful. Is that a fair answer, sir?
It is. I think the issue is much more complex because the president has made it very clear for all of us to be patient.
And that's what I'm stuck on that.
Patient. We know what the market does. You've not lost a dime until you sell it. It's all on paper, so don't freak out over.
Oh, I don't think I have.
But some people have.
Oh, I agree with that.
But patience.
I'm gonna stay right with him, but I think that his opportunity, it does reside with the president. And I'm gonna stick with him. And he knows this.
Because the White House,
Guys that protect him more than anybody, they've seen me on TV 32 times. You know, good question. By the way, anybody that's got the president in their party with George W. Bush, it was a heck of a time. And I know when Joe Biden was in, those Democrats were like, ugh. It is hard. I'd sooner have Donald Trump any day of the week, and I'm proud of him as our president.
Lately, I've had a lot of things on my mind.
Good.
My 401k's on fire.
Yeah.
Federal workers being harassed by Doge. The federal government being cut left and right with seemingly no plan. Tariffs going up, tariffs going down, tariffs back on, tariffs off, doubling tariffs for this country, doubling tariffs for that country, but we want to take it off in that country. It's ridiculous. It is nice to know. It is nice to know.
It's
It is
negotiation
nice to
in
know
public.
that you seem to understand tariffs more than some of our own city council members. So I do appreciate that.
Well,
Now,
let's be fair.
Here's my question.
Let's be
Here's
fair.
my question.
He came
Here's
here
my
to,
question.
He came here to
I've got a
speak his
question.
opinion. You do, but let's not make
And I'm
it-
listening to him.
Let's
So
not
now
make-
you can listen to me.
Okay, well, I hope
The
nobody
one
takes
thing
it
that's
wrong.
on my mind right now is Abrego Garcia. Because he was so inconvenient to be represented that he was sent to El Salvador to rot in a terrorist prison. So what happens when I become too inconvenient to represent? Are you and Stanton going to come to El Salvador to come get me? That's my question.
Did you come here illegally?
I think you know that answer.
No, I don't.
I did not.
Okay, well, then you did not. Then why would
He
somebody
had
come and
every
get
right
you?
to be here in this
Okay.
country. Every right.
Thank
He was
you.
married to a United States citizen. He has a child here.
Okay,
And he was, by the Justice Department's own admission, it was a mistake.
okay.
So if Donald Trump makes a mistake and sends me to El Salvador, are you and Stanton gonna come get me? That's my question.
Well, the answer is I've done that before.
Done what before?
I've gotten people who were incarcerated in other countries, who were American
Will you
citizens.
stand against Donald Trump?
So here's.
I don't care about what you did with Joe Biden. I care about you standing up against Donald Trump.
Good. I will tell you that this morning I read what's called the Dallas Morning News. I don't stay up for this full time. I'm trying to also do my job. And the legal dilemma brewing, El Salvador president says he won't return errantly deported man. The president, hold on.
So El Salvador says
yeah,
that
I
they
gave
won't,
you
they
time.
won't return a person to the United States who should be here. And Donald Trump is too weak to go get him? Is that what you're telling me?
No, here's what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is I know how this is gonna play out, and I can
See it
guess
all,
it.
don't you?
Sir?
You see it all, don't you?
No, I said this thing, I didn't say I see it all. And that there's gonna be a member of Congress that goes and gets this guy.
Oh,
Oh, is that right?
who went today? Who went
Oh, they
today?
wouldn't let him in.
The senator?
Okay, well, they wouldn't let him in. So I can see how this thing's gonna play out. The president of the country of El Salvador does
Do we
not
know which
want.
senator? Which one?
It's a Democrat colleague.
Okay, so he didn't
All
let
I'm
them-
saying is that mistake or not,
He was a mistake, don't say or not, he was a mistake.
I
The
said
Justice
or
Department
not,
admitted it.
mistake or not, the president of El Salvador is not going to let him go.
And Donald Trump could do something about it, and he's not lifting a finger, and you won't either.
So.
And I
Sit
will.
down, I listen to you.
No, hold
Greg,
on a second.
I'm
I'm so
saying
sick.
it's not the city.
I have to listen to
He
you.
does not.
Quit your bullshit.
He does
Every
not.
other
Go this way,
Tuesday,
please.
and I'm sick of it.
Okay, thank you very much,
That's
sir.
bullshit to use
Yeah,
your
thank you very much. Okay, he got what he wanted. I would like to say that all of us in here have our opinions and are entitled to our opinions, but I'd like for us, as we do on the floor, aim your comments at us. Yes, ma'am. Hi. I'm sorry, now I'm not even protecting her. Vicky, can she have the next one? She literally has been asking for this.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you. Donna Wright from Valley Mills. There are 10 houses in my neighborhood that are farther west than my house is in Congressional District 17. So I'm on the very west side of McLennan County, which is a really lovely place, by
It's
the
a
way.
great place to wake up in.
Yeah, yeah,
It was beautiful this morning.
it was. So I am all about loving your neighbor, which I realize is, it's not only a Christian faith statement. There are a lot of other religions that
Yes.
value that highly.
Yes.
But especially this week, it's on my mind a lot
Yes,
and on
ma'am.
my heart a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
But I have a lot of other concerns as well. And one is about the leaky bucket
Okay.
that you brought up.
I did.
And I am so grateful for our federal government and for all the services it provides. I'm grateful for clean air and clean water. I grew up in the 1970s. I was a teen in the 70s, and air pollution was so horrible, and
It was
water
solved
pollution
with science.
stalled with science. So grateful for science. We're getting to tornado weather. And I grieve the loss of those NOAA and U.S. Weather Service staffers who provided so many services. And out in Valley Mills, I can sometimes hear the sirens that go off in town, but not always. And if there's a big wind, I might not hear it.
Okay?
So I'll get there. What I'm concerned about is someone coming in who has no knowledge of government, no experience in government, and takes a chainsaw to our government, cutting vital employees who want to love their neighbor, who want to love their country, employees who have great ideas about dealing with the waste that they see, and instead they are kicked out to the great detriment of our country. I'm also concerned about DOGE in terms of our national security. DOGE went into I forget which office it was, Department of Labor, went in there, downloaded a huge amount of information, changed the passwords. Within a few minutes, a URL from someplace in Russia used the correct username and password trying to get into our system.
Okay, and
These-
in fairness,
these-
I don't know about that. But in
It's-
fairness, I don't know about that.
Yes, it's very scary. So I would like Doge, I love the idea of cutting out the waste,
Yeah,
but I hate the idea of how it is happening.
okay.
It is happening in a way that will cost us so much more money. I'm concerned about Social Security. I'm concerned about our veterans. My neighbor across the street moved here to work in the Veterans Administration in Waco. And I have been praying for her that she is not one of those laid off, because she came here to work with veterans because she cares about them.
Yes,
She could make more money in some other healthcare situation, but she cares for our veterans, as do all of the folks that I've met at the VA hospital. The other thing that I have to say about the leaky bucket, there's more than cutting the waste and cutting significant programs that will do it, and that is the income. That is the income. That is, the undocumented folks who are putting money into Social Security. I'm grateful for that. It's the national parks that bring in billions more, many times billions more than what is spent on them. Even the IRS takes in so much more than is spent, and the more IRS agents, the more audits can be done on the ultra wealthy. And that is also the other side of the leaky bucket, which is what goes in there. Elon Musk and other multi-billionaires, instead of spending money having space tourists go up into space, they can be taxed on more of their wealth.
Okay.
And also Social Security. There is a cap on Social Security. If you make over $176,000 a year, you pay the same as my husband does making $60,000 a year. And that's ridiculous.
Okay.
If that cap were
Thank you.
removed,
Thank you.
Social Security would be solvent.
Well,
Thanks.
that may or may not be true, but let me acknowledge, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time to come and engage with me. I don't assume every person's for where I am or where you are even, or where anybody else is, but this is good that you're here. The bottom line is that during the last 4 years has been very difficult on a number of people. And in particular, the taxpayer that's seen some $14 trillion added to their net list. We're spending more money than we can pay for. We're going to pay about $2 trillion very soon just for interest. And that interest is something that we've got to be concerned with, because that robs everybody, including those I have a Down syndrome son who I am worried about. I turned 70 a month ago, and I've got to be concerned about what kind of country we're going to leave for Alex too. But with all this said, as you know, there are an incredible number of people who chose, because it was allowed on a political basis, not to come to work. And they didn't. And the backup is enormous. Oh, please, you know this. If you don't know this, I'll tell you, the first instance that you saw about it was the passport office. The passport office, there's about, I think about 16 of them, and they would cut down literally half of them across the board. And they flew people, they had people fly from Huntsville, Texas, to either Boston, Massachusetts, or to the state of Washington, to Seattle, if you needed to on an emergency basis. They were not available anywhere else. This was on a political basis where they shut down their agency. About halfway through this, in 23, 24, 23, I called up the State Department, we were dealing with them, and the ambassador in charge of that came and said, we know it's not right, and we're gonna fix it, we're gonna change. And they got people back to work. Getting people,
Why call them in the first place? I think that's what
you can do this. We didn't cut them. They were not coming to work. So we have an incredible backlog. We do not need 80,000 more government IRS agents when they didn't even effectively use the ones they had. So we're trying to do what I did at Bell on a regular basis. I got an organization, I got 750 people. My job is to make them more efficient. What we need to do is to understand if you don't want to come to work, you don't have to. And about 100,000 are not going to. They're going to leave. I think that's proper. You may not agree with it, but I think it's proper if somebody wants to leave. They're then going to look at those operations and they're going to find out how we're going to do it. But I will tell you that when someone at the VA or someone at Social Security or someone somewhere else does not like what they're saying, they weren't even going to work. They were not even at work. And that's how this huge amount of money happened. They were sitting at home punching a button. The computers were doing everything. True.
That's work.
No, you were not responsible for the things that you did. And across that administration, even to the top of the totem pole, the secretaries were not even going to work. So I just want you to know, they tried their thing, we're going to try our thing. I am supportive of Doge. I will be objective about Doge. I am trying to learn more about it also. And we're going to, and the administration knows in June we're going to start these hearings. And we are going to start them, and we're going to ask questions. But I will tell you, I'm going to stick with this, and I respect and appreciate that there may be some disagreement. I want to thank you for being here today. And by signing up, us knowing who you are, we'll invite you to the next one. By the way, in fairness, we couldn't pay people to come to our town hall meetings before Trump got into office. We just couldn't even pay to get anybody there.
Sir?
So I'm glad that you're here.
Apologies, you are having so much fun, we lost track of time. We were supposed to end this at 7.
Who's
I
next?
promised 3 people, please keep it very short.
Okay, I'll be quiet. You answer it in 1 minute, I'll answer it back in a minute. Judge, I'm sorry. Put it on my tab.
My name is John Watt. I'm here from Nacogdoches, Texas. I'm
Yes,
the chair
sir.
of the Democratic Party there.
Yes, sir, you
We
are.
met before,
Yes, sir.
and I want to thank you for coming and facing us
Yes,
and
sir.
answering our questions.
And I told you I would.
Yes. My question to you is, you talked about criminals that were apprehended at the border.
That anybody that came across the border without following the law is considered a criminal. It's a criminal violation of the United States.
Right.
They can go.
My question today is, I sat and watched in horror on January 6, 2021, when the Capitol was attacked by terrorists.
I watched it too.
You were there.
I was there.
There was a gallows outside for Mike Pence. There were people that were attacking policemen, beating with the American flag, with crutches, hitting them, macing them, hitting them with all sorts of things. The president released all these 1,500 people from jail that were convicted by court of law and called them patriots.
Yes.
The real patriots there were the 120 police officers that were injured and the 5 that lost their lives.
Okay.
How do you justify all of those people being released and not being sent to El Salvador with the other terrorists?
Yeah. Thank you. By the way, we walked over to Art Museum and you were very respectful to the stories of the men and women who've served this great nation. And you and I did not walk hand in hand, but we walked in over there and delighted the things that we saw. Thank you for coming back. And I hope I do well enough where you'll want to come back again. It is important for us to note that there are not two sides of every story, but there are two sides to the story that's been told. Not your story, but that's been told in Washington. First of all, Nancy Pelosi who is responsible for the security of the Capitol, and every other person knew that these people were coming. They had the lowest number of Capitol Hill police that they have ever had on record that were on duty that day. Secondly, the people who were in charge of the security, the intelligence for the Capitol Hill police, they did not call on her to come give testimony about what she knew or did not know or what the report was. The chairwoman of the Committee for House Administration had not even been to Washington for 2 years. Nancy Pelosi did not allow herself to give any testimony. And what I would tell you is that all of the records that were gathered have now been sequestered and evidently done away with. And any House record is required by federal law to be saved and to go to the archives, whether it's at the Rules Committee or whether it was this committee that cannot find all the evidence, thousands of interrogatories, lots of responses. Something happened to all of the information. I will tell you that there is a man right now who does want to get to the bottom of this. And it would simply be on a factual basis. But you saw where the director of the FBI stumbled through his testimony, Chris Wray, who I personally know. My dad was a director, several before him. And I watched him stumble through because he did not want to commit perjury. And when you come to the United States Congress and you raise your hand, you have essentially 3 options. To stumble through you've raised your hand, that you will say, just like if he were in a grand jury, you can say, I will not answer that. Or you can say, or you can lie, or you can tell the truth, or you can stumble through it. I understood that the FBI director did not want to commit perjury, but he would not answer the question. Now we know that there were 26 people that worked for the FBI, at least, that were engaged in that debacle. So, I've already stated that I felt like, and I did it that day because I saw criminal behavior. I did. And I don't like that. But I also know that the Department of Justice, under the former Attorney General, who I know quite well, I've had lunch at his house, I know him well. He respects me. I respect him. They allowed for a charge that is a felony that came out of civil litigation that dealt with Enron of disrupting a public meeting. Some could say this young man, I'm not gonna say that, but some could say disrupted. They did disrupt. But to take a civil matter to make it a felony when it was not is a stretch of the imagination. So I'm simply telling you, I don't think it's over with. I told you, you ask it in a minute, I'll finish in a minute. You took your minute, I took 5. I respect you and appreciate you.
Congressman Sessions, I'm fixing to say something. I hope it doesn't sound disrespectful. I think you remember me from telling you I was born in Okinawa.
Yes.
And I was brought into this country at the age of 5 without my mother's permission. But anyway, I've been raised here since I was 5. I love this country. Never seen any signs of disrespect from the people here. But what's really ticking me off now is we got a president and he can't seem to do anything with all these liberal judges trying to be president. So what's Congress going to be able to do to help him control this?
Yeah. This issue, and thank you for stating that fairly, because I think it is a question, how does Congress look at this? Because it is a congressional matter. We have attempted to go to the Chief Justice and to say, we believe it's best for your entire organization, what's called Article 3. There are Article 3 judges. My dad was an Article 3 Chief Judge of the Western District of Texas for 14 years. My dad operated within some balance. So what's happened is that these things have gone on to the Supreme Court. And well, it's their time. I mean, you know, they're the ones that have to deal with it. They created it. They know they have an issue. And so it's just going to take a little bit of time. Our speaker has indicated he wants to go in and change through the Judiciary Committee some things like this. I can agree and I can disagree. Because just because we disagree doesn't mean we should isolate someone, but rather, does the system work? And I think the system does work. And it was designed to work that way, and those guys, men and women, are the ones having to do it. But it is political. And there is disagreement. And the president, above all, we know the Supreme Court guys, every one of them are political. You know that. So we're trying to let the process work and see what they think. Rule on the law, not on politics. Yeah. Okay.
My name is Noah. I'm Jeff's intern at the field office, and I have a question. I want to keep it brief. First off, I'd like to appreciate you for coming down, and I know it's not a huge turnout, but I've never seen a congressman speak in front of such a small crowd and be as intimate as you have been with us, and I appreciate that. So my question is this. When it comes to representing tens of thousands of constituents, what is more important to you, integrity or attitude?
Yeah. So let's say about 900,000 is about the number that every single member of Congress in Texas has. I think that we have members of Congress that I've served now for 27 years. I'm not the senior guy from Texas. That's Lloyd Doggett. We lost Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. She had more years than I. But I think I'm somewhere probably second. We all have things about us that are either things that we strongly believe in or biases that we have. We just do. We all essentially have people that we represent that also have these biases. We even have people from just west of me who offer a different viewpoint. My service is that I have not cut a deal. There's no deal. But I've tried to place myself in a position when I was chairman of the Rules Committee, we got along. I did not badger anybody. I did not allow anybody to be badgered. I let them come and talk. They want to talk. Nancy Pelosi came before the Rules Committee and talked for 3 hours. You get 5 minutes. I think that for our system to work, we have to have some bit of patience about each other. We have to be able to stay where we are and then defend where we are. And it's not always easy. I will tell you, I got asked by someone earlier about this high threshold. I think I learned some of it from my Down syndrome son. I think that when you deal with people who have objectively a different idea, a different viewpoint, you're still entitled to have to listen. And then work through things as best as possible. And I will accuse this young chairman of being the same. He didn't show up here to try and rush me, to speak ill of me, to grab me around the throat, to try and trip me, he asked a legitimate question. I hope that I was as honest back. Vicki?
Yes, sir, we have some breaking news, and I would like to have our fantastic comms director there.
Well, you had asked about activist judges, and last week y'all passed the No Row Rulings Act, and what this does is prevent judges from district judges from issuing a nationwide injunction. Quick plug for our newsletter, it was in the newsletter from last week. So if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll see a summary of all the bills they voted on and how he voted. He voted yes. The idea is that each district judge should not be able to issue a nationwide injunction. What's right in one case is not right for the entire nation. And that's what the House passed. It's now waiting in the Senate.
Yeah, generally speaking, when you issue something that's done within your region, like we're in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, when my dad would issue something, it would be for the Fifth Circuit. It could go to the Fifth Circuit. There's a question that required that then is certiorari. If you're going to issue a nationwide injunction, it then goes directly, it can go to the Supreme Court quickly. So we're simply saying you can't do that. If you issue something, it would be in your jurisdiction, in your circuit, and not outside the circuit. That circuit would deal with it. Okay. I don't know what she wants, but you've had your hand up. Well, I will then too.
Thank you so much for this open meeting. I really appreciate it. You've said in the past that you stand for Ukraine.
Yes,
support
ma'am.
Ukraine.
I have.
What can we do for Ukraine right now today?
Well, I think it's pretty interesting, and now let's go back to this, which could be a question. President Trump has attempted to negotiate with the Russians, and I think that's more than generous. And Mr. Putin has chosen to not be truthful, did not live up with what they said. And I think that what's happened is, by and large, if you open up the air to light, a lot of things begin to be seen. I think somehow the Ukrainians are beginning to get that money, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, and intel. And I have seen where they blasted the stuffings out of Russia, deep within Russia. That was not done without the United States. We provided them information. So my problem is I've studied this circumstance for a long time and felt like that when Russia fell, America said because Ukraine was their outer, they were the West.
Yeah.
They were like Valley Mills to Russia. We said, if you'll give us all your nukes, that instead of going to Russia to the highest bidder where they would sell them, you give them to us, we'll protect you. And I still think a deal's a deal. I want to thank each of you for being here today. Jeff will find out whether we get invited back or not. But I want you to know that I think that this is important, that I hear from you, that it be open to the public, that I do recognize that there are some people who have strong opinions, and I thought you did a very nice job of not only professionally presenting yourself, but doing the right thing. And I want to thank this young girl here who I went to college with, and to tell her how great it is to see. I was a graduate student and she was a freshman. Thank you for being here. I want to give a special thanks to our, at least 2 members of law enforcement that are here. Thank you, by the way, we're on your side, and God bless you. Jeff, it's up to you and Buzz. You're on it.
There we go. Took a minute. Yes, we have Corporal Kenny Posey back there, and we appreciate his presence. And again, I share Congressman's sentiments because I see this every day that I'm here in Huntsville, and that's one reason why it's an easy commute. A few folks that slipped in before I was looking at my paper quicker than I was looking up. So we've got the new city manager, Scott Swigert. I'm going to ask him to stand up just briefly. I have known Scott, most people don't know this, but I've known Scott for over 25 years. He and I went to church together a long time ago when we were both Aggie students in Aggie land. So great man of integrity and hard work. I mean, look at the size of that dude. I mean, he can work a full day's work. We have multiple city council men and women here today. Vicki McKenzie, we've got Tor, we've got John Strong. Who else am I missing? Pat Graham. How could I miss or forget about Pat? So, really appreciate their presence. We got Sam back there, assistant manager, and of course Tammy. So, great crowd. Thank y'all again. Will Durham, the district attorney, and my Longhorn friend. I'm not going to miss him. So anyway, I think that does it. That wraps things up. Thank y'all again. Like Congressman says, I hope we did good enough to come back. So y'all have a great evening.